pause yourself for that line. What you think about when the 15th round when you're coming out?
Hello and welcome back to Fact Me Up channel. In today's video, we're diving deep into the heart-pounding world of one of the most legendary movie franchises of all time, Rocky. Whether you're a diehard fan or just curious to learn more about this incredible journey, you're in for a treat. Without further ado, let's step into the ring and explore the incredible world of Rocky. Although Sylvester Stallone famously wrote the first draft of the script of Rocky in 3 days, it went through 9 sizable rewrites before it was purchased by Irwin Winkler and Robert Chardoff. Originally, Stallone's much darker script depicted Mickey as a bitter old racist, and the film ended with Rocky throwing the fight after realizing he did not want to be part of the professional boxing world. Rocky's dog Butkus was actually Sylvester Stallone's dog in real life, and there's a sad story behind their relationship. In the early 1970s, before Sylvester Stallone achieved fame and success as an actor, he was struggling to make ends meet and had to sell Butkus for $50 in front of a 7-Eleven store, because he couldn't afford to buy food for him. Fortunately, a week later, Stallone sold the Rocky script and purchased Butkus back for $3,000. Sylvester Stallone was inspired to write the screenplay of Rocky after seeing the Chuck Wepner and Muhammad Ali fight of 1975. 36-year-old Wepner was considered a moderate talent, but no one expected him to last more than 3 rounds against the greatest. The longer the fight went, the more shocked people became, and Wepner even managed to knock Ali down in the 9th round. No matter how hard Muhammad hit him, Wepner kept moving forward and kept fighting. Eventually, with 19 seconds left in the 15th and final round, Ali scored a technical knockout. 40 years later, in 2016, Wepner's story was adapted into a movie Chuck. After producers Irwin Winkler and Robert Chardoff became interested in the script, they offered Sylvester Stallone an unprecedented $350,000 for the rights. He had $106 in the bank, was earning $36 a week as an usher, and sold his dog because he couldn't afford to feed him, but he refused to sell unless they agreed to allow him to star in the film. They agreed, on the condition that Stallone continue to work as a writer without a fee, and that he work as an actor for scale. After Winkler and Chardoff purchased the film, they took it to United Artists, who envisioned a budget of $2 million with an established star, particularly Robert Redford, Ryan O'Neal, Burt Reynolds, Nick Nolte, or James Caan. When Winkler and Chardoff told United Artists that they could only get the screenplay if Stallone starred, United Artists cut the budget to $1 million and had Chardoff and Winkler sign agreements that they would be personally liable if the film went over budget. The final cost was $1.1 million, and Chardoff and Winkler mortgaged their houses for the remaining $100,000. When shooting the scenes in the meat locker where Rocky punches the slabs of beef, actor Sylvester Stallone punched the meat so hard for so long that he flattened out his knuckles. To this day, when he makes a fist, his knuckles are completely level. The ice rink scene was originally written to feature 300 extras, but the production couldn't afford so many people. When Sylvester Stallone turned up to shoot the scene, he was shocked to see only 1 extra. Stallone hastily threw together the scene as it exists in the completed film, and this scene has become one of the most popular in the entire Rocky saga. During his audition, Carl Weathers was sparring with Sylvester Stallone and accidentally punched him on the chin. Stallone told Weathers to calm down as it was only an audition, and Weathers said that if he was allowed to audition with a real actor, not a stand-in, he would be able to do a lot better. Director John Avildsen smiled and told Weathers that Stallone was the real actor, and also the writer. Weathers looked at Stallone thoughtfully for a moment, and said, "Well, maybe he'll get better." Stallone immediately offered him the role. According to Burt Young, during filming of the scene where Paulie walks home drunk, an actual drunk wandered onto the location and told Young that his portrayal of being intoxicated wasn't convincing enough, so Young asked the man to demonstrate it. Young then used the man's impromptu performance as inspiration to enhance the authenticity of his own drunken acting in the scene.
My own stink? That's right, it stinks!
The iconic monologue delivered by Rocky after declining Mickey's offer to manage him was completely improvised on set by Sylvester Stallone. He has since explained that he was heavily influenced by the fact that the bathroom of the tiny apartment in which they were shooting really did smell like death, and he channeled the palpable discomfort into his character's emotional outpouring.
I can't beat him.
Despite mounting production delays and pressure from the producers to skip a crucial scene, Stallone insisted on filming the emotionally charged moment where Rocky opens up to Adrian about his fears and doubts on the night before the big fight. Remarkably, Stallone was determined to capture this scene in just one take, considering it the absolute heart of the film. Sylvester Stallone was an avid smoker before the making of Rocky, but had to quit his bad habit during the filming, because he was getting out of breath while filming the running and boxing scenes. During the scene where Gazzo is talking to Rocky about not breaking the dock workers' thumbs, Gazzo pulls out an inhaler mid-sentence and uses it. That wasn't written into the script. Actor Joe Spinell actually had an asthma attack and really had to use his inhaler right on camera on the spur of the moment. Director John G. Avildsen liked the authenticity it brought to the scene, so he decided to leave it in the film. Sylvester Stallone and Carl Weathers both endured a bit of real-life action while filming the climactic final fight scene in Rocky. Stallone ended up with bruised ribs, and Weathers took a hit to the nose, mirroring the exact opposite injuries of their characters in the movie. Most of the scenes of Rocky jogging through Philadelphia were shot guerrilla style, with no permits, no equipment, and no extras. The shot where he runs past the moored boat, the crew were simply driving by the docks, and director John Avildsen saw the boat, and thought it would make a good visual, so he had Sylvester Stallone simply get out of the van and run along the quays, while Avildsen himself filmed from the side door. A similar story concerns the famous shot of Rocky jogging through the food market. As he runs, the stall keepers and the people on the sidewalks can clearly be seen looking at him in bemusement. While this works in the context of the film to suggest they're looking at Rocky, in reality, they had no idea why this man was running up and down the road being filmed from a van. During this scene, the famous shot where the stall owner throws Rocky an orange was completely improvised by the stall owner, who had no idea that a movie was being filmed and that he would be in it. Prior to shooting the fight between Sylvester Stallone and Carl Weathers, John G. Avildsen decided that the scenes needed to be shot in a unique way so as to make the boxing more realistic than in other boxing movies of the period. He, Weathers, and Stallone all went to a ring and began to block out the moves, but it wasn't working, and the fight was coming across as staged and not very realistic. Avildsen then told Stallone to go home and literally write out the fight. The next day, Stallone returned with 32 pages of specific directions for the fight, which he and Weathers learned off like a ballet over a period of a few weeks. In total, Stallone and Weathers rehearsed their fight scene for over 35 hours. Rocky is not the character's actual name. His real name is Robert Balboa. This was seen in a rough script from the second film. He took the nickname of Rocky from real-life boxer Rocky Marciano. In the film, the poster above the ring before Rocky fights Apollo shows Rocky wearing red shorts with a white stripe when he actually wears white shorts with a red stripe. This was an actual mistake made by the props department that they could not afford to rectify, so Sylvester Stallone came up with the idea for the scene where Rocky points out the mistake himself.
Jergens, the poster's wrong.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm wearing white pants with a red stripe.
The comment about Rocky's robe being too baggy came about the same way.
I think this robe here is too baggy, you know?
The robe delivered to the set was far too baggy for Stallone, so rather than hope people wouldn't notice, the character himself simply points it out.